Hello everyone. My name is Meryem. I'm HR project manager, and today we are meeting with Zoe and Cheryl. Could you introduce yourselves, please?
I'm Zoe. I met you two, you came to my university to do a workshop on autism and suicide, which resonated with me quite a bit. I wasn't actually expecting it to be about suicide, I just thought it was to do with autism, but I found it really interesting and it did resonate with me.
So I'm Cheryl, I'm the Here to Help project officer, and I think when we delivered that training to you, one of the things that really made me ask you the question whether you do a podcast was your interest in certain pieces of the training that other people weren't picking up on, and you were clearly tuned to that. So that's why you got invited here, and we're going to put you through this.
Okay.
But yeah, there were several nods like, yes, definitely, yeah, ticking.
My face gives away too much, unfortunately.
It's really helpful.
Yeah.
If everybody was able to express what their feelings were, that I guess would make life a lot easier for you.
Yeah.
Is that a barrier maybe sometimes?
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on in my head, but I don't express it because I'm shy, I guess.
Okay.
So I guess it comes out in other ways,
Right.
with like body language and expression.
Which is really helpful.
Yeah, it can be unhelpful in for some situations, but
Okay. So you were explaining before we started the podcast that you'd had an experience on the train today,
yeah,
whereby you'd forgotten your train pass.
Yeah, my rail
card.
my rail card, yeah.
And you were met with a real difficult situation when you were clearly overwhelmed with the fact that you'd left it at home.
Yeah.
And then the person on the train who was inspecting the tickets and stuff wasn't very accommodating.
I sort of said, okay, I'm really sorry, I've left it. I've got train tickets for Colchester and I've put them all together in a different bag. Is there anything else I can give you? And he was like, no, I can't accept anything else, and was sort of very matter of fact. I was trying to come up with other solutions, and he was just sort of, I'm not calling you a liar, and and I was thinking, am I coming across a bit, because he decided to then put his camera on, and he explains why he was doing it, but I can't remember why. And at that point, I felt myself like getting distressed.
What would have been helpful for you in that situation?
Possibly for him to have not filmed me.
Yeah.
And maybe spoke quieter so other people couldn't see what was going on.
Okay.
And maybe just sat down.
So there's quite a lot there that you could have done.
Standing over.
That's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Do you normally wear the sunflower lanyards and stuff?
Oh no, I don't.
What do you think about that?
I think I'm afraid of wearing it because I think that people might, like, I don't know, judge me on that basis. There was a comment from one of my peers once when I got diagnosed with autism saying, you're not going to wear one of those sunflower things, are you? And I was like, no. So what I got from that was that it wasn't, I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
By that.
So almost it sounds like, well, that's ridiculous. Why would you wear one of those?
Yeah, sort of like drawing attention to yourself, sort of thing.
So what I got from that was that makes you sound not too bright.
Yeah, perhaps.
You know, if you're in an environment where you're at university and someone's saying, "No, you're not going to wear that."
Yeah.
You know, which isn't great for everyone else who is wearing them.
Yeah, I don't know if it was to do with that. I think it was more. She was like, "Oh, not those people that wear those things." So I don't know whether it was. Possibly the opinion probably comes from maybe lockdown when a lot of people wore them that didn't need to, and I don't know if it's come from that.
Okay. So
I'm
you
not
have had your autism diagnosis since
I think last year, September.
Okay.
Time.
And what about your ADHD diagnosis?
That was the year prior.
Crikey, so quite a lot in a short space
I
of time.
didn't consider autism at all before. I knew I didn't consider ADHD for ages, but then when I had the ADHD assessment, they were like, yeah, you should get tested for autism as well. And I was like, I don't think. And even my mum was like, no, you don't have that. Because I guess everyone's knowledge of it, a lot of people's knowledge of it, I should say, is limited to what they think it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I learned a lot since, and I realised that it makes sense.
Right.
Especially if at the moment I'm going through PMDD. I'm at the final last few days, so that's probably why I'm a bit more emotional than usual. But I realised that my autism traits come out more during that. I can't mask. I find it really difficult to, and I get more overwhelmed. I like to say I don't I don't have autism until I'm hormonal, and then I have autism
That's really
because
interesting.
I can't mask it.
So tell us what the doctor had told you about PMDD and autism in relation to women.
So can you explain the PMDD first, maybe like for the audiences that who doesn't know?
Yeah, so premenstrual dysphoric disorder, that's it. And the psychiatrist that diagnosed me with ADHD felt that he didn't think I had PMDD because he felt that women that have autism are naturally more sensitive during certain points in their cycle, so like the luteal phase, which is like just before your period. So he felt it's exacerbation of if you've got underlying mental health conditions as well.
Okay. And would you agree with that?
I'm not sure, because when I speak to other women that have PMDD who have a very similar experience and a lot of them the same diagnoses, I think it's just a word for what it is, really.
Okay.
Just saying it's autism and that things were just a bit worse.
Right.
It doesn't, I don't know.
Yeah, because bearing in mind that autism isn't linear.
Yeah.
You know, so we can't really just say, oh, well, every female who is at an age that they have a menstrual cycle will experience this because you're autistic.
Yeah, and also I think you said very important thing that I can't unmask on a period and my autism is more visible. I think it's very important to highlight.
Yeah, I do notice like a big difference in that.
So what's that experience like for you then? Because if you've spent your whole life masking in situations, what does it feel like to not be able to have? Because it's almost like a superpower.
It makes me feel younger than what I am, less mature and less able to regulate my emotions.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, so the rejection sensitivity is like massive. So that probably plays into the training experience, the library. Any experience that I have throughout the day, it's all logged, if that makes sense.
Okay.
As like a potential rejection or perceived rejection. And I feel as though that's completely absent when I'm not going through the luteal phase.
So how do you process all of those events that happen throughout the day? Do you have a process? So at the end of the day that you can have a look at those scenarios and not have it build up into the potential meltdown?
I've not found anything that's massively helped with it. I've tried like various medications and things. I do get prescribed medical cannabis. So I try to have that like on an evening maybe, if like the luteal phase or the PMDD I should say is really bad, but it's not practical, so I couldn't have it in the day, or if I was going to uni, college, placement. So although I find it helpful in calming me down, it's not practical for that sort of thing.
So if we had to look at what your biggest challenges were growing up, what would you say? What will come to mind?
I would say moving primary schools quite a bit. My dad's job moved us around the UK quite a bit, so that probably didn't help with my confidence and my education because I was already behind academically, possibly due to like the ADHD, autism and dyslexia. I didn't know I had any of those things.
When did you sorry to interrupt, when did you worry about the dyslexia?
When I was 20.
Okay, so all of them are in one package in one go.
Yeah, so.
Okay, sorry,
No,
keep going.
Okay. At school I found that I was often labelled as very shy. I guess I felt uncomfortable around a lot of people and I had low self-esteem. I didn't find that I had the same interests as the other girls around me.
So when you talk about different interests of the girls around you, so was that from primary age?
Yeah, primary age, yeah.
Okay, because I think that's an issue for some children who feel that they don't fit in, or they feel other, or they feel a little bit different, or, you know, children can be cruel.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, and exclude children from activities or joining in, and that can create a problem for the child, you know, going home and feeling like they don't have any friends. But when you're brain is processing information very differently, that then adds another layer on, doesn't it, to being at school?
I was often like quite sensitive, so I'd often get quite upset quite easily. So if the teacher told me off, and I do everything possible not to be told off because I was so frightened. I think things are a bit different now at school, but if I did get told off, that would stay with me for like weeks and weeks, and I'd go over and over it. And that still happens to me now, but I'm a little bit more aware. Although I still get the same feelings. Like my lecturer told me off last week for talking, which is completely fair enough, but it hit me like a brick. And I was a little bit like, why has that upset me so much? Possibly because I was in the luteal phase. I would notice that other children seemed to sort of just shake it off, as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
That made things a little bit more difficult.
So what about having friends over? Did you experience that, having friends coming over to play or come over for tea, or for you to go to other children's houses?
Yeah, I did have like lots of like friends really, but they were mainly boys, because I seem to get on with boys more. I don't know for whatever reason why.
I think boys are more literal, aren't they? Boys tend to say what they have to say and move on, whereas girls can hold a grudge for seemingly a lot longer.
Probably from leaving school, I was always friends with boys. Yeah, I guess that's probably why.
Easier.
And I shared their interests more as well. Like I was the only girl on the football team at primary school, and I quite often wanted to dress like a boy, so my mum would be quite mortified by that most of the time. But I don't know, I felt more comfortable in boys' clothes and stuff like that.
I suppose when you think about it, when we think about girls, and I know this sounds a bit generic, but when we think about girls dressing up and doing the hair and putting the makeup on, it's effort. As an autistic individual, there's a lot of effort
going on.
You being you, without layering on top of that.
Yeah.
So hanging out with the boys must have seemed like an easier option, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
More comfortable.
Yeah, I think it was less conversation as well, and more sort of playing, if that makes sense.
Right.
I think that might have been part of it.
It's quite nice to hear, though, that you've played football and done activities that took you out of yourself, because there are a lot of children who isolate, and stay in the house more and generally don't tend to mix. Not all autistic children, but it is more
isolation
common.
could be more comfortable zone than carry on.
But you've kind of pushed that, and equally being, saying that you're quite a shy child too.
Yeah.
So actually, you're very, very brave, although.
Yeah, I think I was shy, but I wasn't shy in front of my friends.
Right.
In fact, I would put on characters and make them laugh, and then suddenly, if like an adult was by, I would just shut down straight away. Or people I didn't know, and that really frustrated my friends and me, because they'd be like, "Why have you suddenly changed?" And I still kind of do that now a little bit, but.
So I can understand being a child, you wouldn't really have the answers for that.
Yeah.
But as an adult, do you have the answers, or?
A little bit, but I don't fully understand it.
And also you're a counselling student as well, so
yeah.
Makes you have a good look at yourself, doesn't it, when you're doing that?
But that was something that, as you're a psychotherapeutic counsellor and I'm a psychological counsellor, and I'm still thinking like, I wish I didn't know, because all of the knowledge that it will be reflecting on me, and I have to consider everything on myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get
that brings a lot of more self-awareness.
Which isn't always welcome.
I try not to think about it too much.
So when we were doing the training, you spoke of having a counsellor yourself. Obviously, when you're training, you have to have personal counselling. So how did you find someone who was comfortable working with neurodivergent?
My counsellor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually listening to a podcast about PMDD, and she was one of the guest speakers. And she was based in Newcastle, and I thought, I'll see if she's got some availability, because she spoke about having PMDD herself and how she had to have a full hysterectomy in her early 20s, because she tried everything, and I kind of thought, oh gosh, is that going to be me?
Right.
But then also that she's neurodiverse and works with neurodiverse individuals, and I hadn't really found any sort of counselling that had been specifically for that. And I found the NHS counselling, which is usually like CBT. I don't know, I kind of just didn't get on with it very well.
Right. I think that was one of the reasons why we'd spoken to the university, because there are so few elements of the training that work with autism, ADHD, all of these differences that have come about since people have trained as counsellors, and they're not specific. There are so many things as a counsellor that are small adaptations that you can make to a room, things you say, processing times, lots of things that would make such a difference to a client relationship, counsellor relationship. People aren't even learning about, but can make the difference of someone feeling terrible after leaving a session or feeling really empowered and listened to and heard.
Yeah, because I guess in a lot of counselling that I had, I felt like a bit really rushed, because quite often I'd go really quiet and I have to just think. I'd need sort of time, but then they'd sort of butt in, and then that thinking would stop, and then I'd end up not saying very much at all.
It's so lucky to find you, to find the exact person who had the lived experience that exactly like you experienced as well. So
Absolutely.
lucky.
So then you pass that on to people you're working with,
Yeah,
you know, whenever you're meeting with. So what age range do you work with?
it's just adults.
And how did you decide to go for the counselling as well? That was because I know that a lot of people who are autistic and willing to carry on with their higher education, but they are a bit reluctant to proceed. So how did you decide to proceed for the higher education, and how was that counselling as well?
I guess I had a quite a good experience, and it was NHS CBT. I think it was the second time I'd had it, and he was like a clinical psychologist, and I think it was intense CBT or something along those lines, and he kind of used sort of an integrative approach as well, rather than just CBT, which made it a bit different. So it meant that the relationship was better because there was a bit of like person-centered in there. Basically, because I found it so helpful to start with, it got to the point where I was starting to tell other people about some of the things that I was learning, and I started getting really interested in it to the point where I was a bit obsessed with it, because it was really helpful. And I ended up asking the therapist like how he got into it, because I felt like it was something that I wanted to do, because I was working in call centres for like about the last 5 years before that therapy, and you're probably aware how stressful call centres can be.
Oh, just
Yeah,
imagine that for you.
And I was sort of having almost daily panic attacks, or what I don't know if they were panic attacks. I think probably meltdowns, now that I know a bit more about what they were, because when I used to look them up, I used to think this isn't a panic attack, but I am losing control of I'm starting to get upset, angry. I'm starting to not be able to think, or I'm like panicking and I can't speak. And I wasn't really sure what that was, and it was a bit of hyperventilating as well, I guess. And I wanted to get out of that really, but I was just in a cycle of going from one call centre to the other to the next, because I kept getting sacked. So I was having panic attacks, and getting overwhelmed, and my performance wasn't good enough. And I did ask him how he got into it, and he said he started off working as a support worker, and he did his training on the side. So I just copied exactly that, and I managed to get a job as a support worker. And it was like a bit of a rough start. I got a bit bullied and stuff like that, but eventually I found a person that we support and a staff team that I sort of fit into. And I've been there for like 6 years, and that would be like my longest job I've ever had, because my jobs always were like less than a year.
What was great about that though, as a job, if you stayed over 6 years, so what was it about that environment that worked for you?
I have literally no idea how they haven't sacked me. But
you're still there now?
Yeah, still there now. But I would say
Why
it was
did you think like that?
It's just because I had a lot of issues with PMDD and my mental health and stuff, and so I ended up having a lot of time off, and I guess I feels like I've caused them a lot of issues because I've not been very reliable or inconsistent, but they've been really understanding. And
it sounds to me like you've been worth keeping. or else
Hopefully.
you wouldn't be there 6 years on
Yeah.
if they didn't think you were doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should recognise that.
How are you going to, do you think? Take a time to look at that?
Considering it, yeah. But,
the route that got you there was to get a support worker role,
yeah.
and then get into the training, like the chap at the NHS did.
Yeah.
So how long has the training been at the uni?
So I started at level 2 at like Time Met College. Got really inspired, really enjoyed the learning. They even used to do like demonstrations, like they used to call them fish balls, where someone unlucky, one of the students, got counselled in front of everyone. But that was really interesting and really helpful for like learning. I did that until I got to level 4, and then unfortunately I had to like defer because of my mental health. Because I started to get PMDD at that point, because I only got that when I turned sort of 30-ish. That's when that got bad. And I ended up getting diagnosed with a personality disorder because of my behaviour. So that put a stop to that.
Oh my goodness, I feel like I just want to slam the brakes on for you. Seems to be so much going on, one thing after another.
Yeah, I suppose I got there in the end. But
this was prior to your autism and ADHD?
Yeah, this was prior, yeah.
Okay.
Because I went to see like a
And that
a
is very
psychiatrist.
common, by the
Very
way, by the
common.
statistics. I was just going to say, as
Absolutely.
most of the people are getting diagnosed with the EUPDD or
Yeah.
That was the one. Yeah.
different disorders instead of autism, because they're autistic,
Exactly.
obviously.
And depression, that's another one, isn't it? You know, that a lot of
Definitely.
people...
They can mimic very much like
Exactly.
a burnout or meltdown.
Yeah. So I stopped that for like a year, and then I went back. I didn't go back to Time Met College. I ended up then enrolling in Newcastle College and doing level 4 there, and then level 5, and then I'm level 6 now. However, unfortunately, last week I had to defer for over a year because of the PMDD, just because of it affecting my placement. I started having meltdown because it didn't affect my placement up until now. And then I had 2 sort of meltdowns in the last 3 weeks, and I just thought I can't keep counselling, because it would have been, it's like 3 clients I would have counselled on twice, and I just thought
Well done for recognising that, though. Well done,
Yeah.
because it is important that you ultimately look after yourself, but other people, when they're relying on you, it is a responsibility that you have for them in that role, isn't it? So you know, you did the right thing by saying, actually, I can't commit to the most professional way of behaving as I'd like to.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a little bit frustrating, but I do kind of feel relieved, because that means no assignments to complete.
You know, just being here talking about all of this is a lot.
Yeah, I think it's just because I'm the phase I'm in as well.
And also, thank you for coming today as well. Like, after you declined your clients, and
absolutely,
today you make it.
Yeah, I thought I'd sort of challenge myself. I waited sort of 11 months to see a PMDD specialist, who I saw on the 10th of this month, and they're the only one in the UK that specialises in PMDD, and nobody told me about it. A gynecology didn't tell me about it. My GP didn't tell me about it. I just went onto AI and found it, and it's like an NHS clinic.
Really?
It's a really small team, like based in Kent, and it's nationwide as well, so anyone can refer them. Well, the GP needs to refer them, but
okay. So how do you do that online?
Yeah, so it was like a virtual appointment.
Okay.
So it was like a 90 minutes appointment with a psychiatrist, and I was expecting to be given like hormone suppressants or ovulation suppressants, because that's usually what they give you as a diagnostic tool, but then also as a treatment sometimes. And I really didn't want to do that, because that was my last option from gynecology. I didn't, because essentially I'd be going through the menopause, and I knew that I would have to defer my course, because I guess that would make me worse for a little while, probably.
It's the not knowing. It's unpredictable, you know, because some people will experience menopause, breeze, other people can suffer for it for years. So you really are in a position.
Intervention, an early intervention for that. So what they came up for?
I was surprised he came up with a type of antipsychotic or it might be called mood stabilizer as well. I was really surprised because I wasn't expecting, because they said that they would never prescribe me that.
Who said? Gynecology told you that?
Not gynecology, because they can't really prescribe any psychotropic drugs, if that's what it's called. I can't remember. But it was the community mental health team, because I was under them for about 2 years, and they said that we can't prescribe you antipsychotics because that's for this list of diagnoses, and you have a personality disorder, and according to the NICE guidelines, there isn't a medication that can help you. And I was like, oh, brilliant. So, although my symptoms only really started when I was 30, so I never agreed with the personality disorder part.
But it sounds as though you have acceptance around your diagnosis of autism, ADHD, PMDD, dyslexia. So that can be a big thing for a lot of people. So would you say that's helped you have the diagnosis? Because there are a lot of people out there who refuse based on, their own beliefs that actually I don't need a diagnosis, and other people who are really struggling to get a diagnosis and they feel like that would really work for them. Where do you sit on that?
I think I was, at first, I wasn't that bothered about getting an autism diagnosis, because I didn't feel as though there was anything that they could do to help with that. But then sort of the more I learned about it, I realised that it possibly might be helpful to know whether I did or not, to sort of validate me and make me give me sort of an explanation as to why I feel the way I do sometimes. But also I felt like my parents would believe me, and I don't know why that was important, but I realised that they don't believe in diagnoses, so, which kind of feels very invalidating, very much like, no, you're using it as an excuse sort of thing.
Oh gosh.
That was the same with dyslexia, really, because they said that I was stubborn and I was lazy, and I never felt like I was any of those things. I kind of wanted to prove to them that that was the case, but that hasn't really worked. But I guess it's helpful in an educational setting, so people to know, but also a workplace setting.
Yeah, reasonable adjustments can be made lawfully, or requested lawfully because of a diagnosis, or even I believe on a pathway. Is it?
Yeah.
On the pathway for a diagnosis, that can help too.
Yeah.
Because statistically, I think there are 3 out of 10 autistic individuals are in employment.
Very low.
So it's very low, isn't it?
But also understanding from the managers and other staff is another point, isn't it? Even today, as a train, we talked about that train officer a lot. But you're doing your job, obviously, but you have no knowledge around neurodiversity or how to communicate with the people who are neurodivergent. And maybe it's not.
But it just raises the importance of how a small bit of training for somebody, in that position on the railways, that actually that could have made a whole lot of difference to your day, and probably his too.
Definitely.
It's like you just said, if that's the way he acts during the day, that's just normal to him, and he thinks he's doing everything right, which in his mind he is. But knowing that he'd have helped you, or just had those tools that he could have made your life a little bit easier, I'm sure would have done him the harm.
Yeah, because I think I was trying really hard not to be, reactive.
Right.
I was kind of holding it back, because I feel like I internalise a lot of it.
Right.
Because I'm trying not to come across. In other words, it wouldn't help me. It wouldn't make me look any better.
Right.
To have said anything.
So if you could give adults some tips for how to be around children or growing up, or what would have helped you from the adults in your life, teachers, parents?
I mean, honestly, when I went to school, it was a little while ago, so I don't think anyone really knew much about autism, and I think dyslexia was kind of coming in to being a bit more diagnosed. I would say that I was often, especially in school reports or just in my face, I was called shy, but it was very much in a negative sense. So it became a bit of a dig, a character flaw, but I didn't feel as though I could change it. But they made it seem like I was, it was an inconvenience to them, me being shy. And it made me feel quite ashamed. So I don't think that was very helpful, them sort of letting me know that I was very shy.
So rather than maybe a bit more of encouragement
Yeah.
would have helped you, rather than saying you're shy and then just leaving it at that.
Mhm.
Whereas looking maybe and communicating with you, how can we help you
Yeah.
participate more maybe and be more involved?
Sort of separating it from who I was. So it's more of a behaviour than who I actually was.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. Rather than just saying you are a shy person or you're a naughty girl or whatever, that your behaviour is naughty or your behaviour is shy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then it looks like something that it can be changed.
It's all of you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I felt like when I was accepted by a small number of sort of teachers that I felt like got me, my personality came out and I felt more confident. And that's because they created that environment for me where like I felt like accepted. They'd often take me out of classroom because I often needed more support. So every now and again they'd take me out and do extra reading and stuff like that. And with those environments, that was when I was my most confident and most comfortable because I was out of the class, I suppose. Obviously, I don't know if they do this anymore, but probably putting the spellings on the board. Sorry, the spelling results on the board probably wasn't the best thing to do.
That's making me cringe anyway. I don't think it's ever a good thing to do, is putting the scores on the board.
And so obviously that gives the children more ammunition to be like, at the bottom.
Yeah. Just essentially shaming people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not achieving a certain.
Yeah, we're getting us to mark our own stuff as in the school.
That was my nightmare.
Walking it over.
That's what the books. I didn't want anyone to see my spellings. Yeah, I guess there were times where I was really quite vulnerable and easily influenced by other students, which got me into a lot of trouble. So I don't know how they can avoid that sort of thing, but
I suppose it's about getting to know you as a person and seeing what your needs are, which I don't envy a lot of teachers. Because how do you get to know all of your students?
Yeah.
You know, it's hard enough in primary school, but once they move to secondary school, you know, and move in different classes.
Yeah, it's probably hard to step back if you're feeling that stressed with all the pressure that you've got above you, but not just the children as well.
Absolutely.
To then not sort of lose control and maybe be a little bit more aggressive than what you intended to be.
What about though for mum and dad? I suppose. So we have parent sessions, and some of those parents come to drop-in sessions, and I noticed that there were questions being asked by the parents of what would they do differently. I mean, they're all doing an amazing job. If the child was older and could tell them what they needed, is there something specifically that stands out that you wish was different from your parents?
Yeah, I think for me, I knew exactly what I enjoyed, and I would let them know that I want to play football, I want to be in a football team, I want to learn this instrument. Like, so what I'm trying to say is children often know what they want to do. They don't need to sort of be pushed into it to please their parents or anything like that. And it's sort of just not shaming them for wanting to do that and supporting them. Whereas my parents very much like, that's not going to help you academically. You're not doing well enough at school to be awarded with drum lessons or like to go football and stuff like that. If I didn't have that, I think my confidence wouldn't have been as good. But I often had a bit of a battle trying to get what I wanted from my parents.
So would you encourage parents to encourage children to have outside interests?
Yeah,
that were outdoor.
Yeah, don't like crush their character, crush their soul.
So it's about parents and how parents were looking for ways that they could help their children. Because some children can't communicate what they want, because, you know, when we spoke about alexithymia, it's about that inability to describe what they need, but knowing that they need something.
I would say giving them options as well. So if I'm overwhelmed or I'm having a meltdown, it's open questions that are really difficult for me, because that adds to the stress and the overwhelm. Give someone actually options. It's a lot easier. So it's not like you're not leading them anywhere, you're just giving them options. But
Okay.
maybe when they're not in meltdown, they might be able to write down what helps.
Yeah.
As well, so then you can give them options.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that works the same with maybe if they don't feel able to communicate, you're sort of making it a little bit easier for them by giving them options. That's where they can sort of say yes or no.
No, that's a good point. Really good
And
point.
they might find that they actually enjoy that some of the options that you've placed in front of them.
So if you came to work, we were working on the same team, what would I need to know about you that you would need from me?
Asking them if they were neurodiverse and almost taking an interest in it and wanting to know more about it, so that they get to the point where they don't feel embarrassed about letting you know. So in all of my workplaces, I never let them know that I had dyslexia, for example.
Well, that's really interesting. So obviously there comes a bit where we all have to take responsibility for our own needs.
Yeah.
So if I need something, the emphasis is on me to ask for it.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing you say is, well, actually, ask me the question, and that would make me feel a lot more comfortable in giving you the information that you need.
Yeah, because then you sort of think, okay, well, this person knows about it, and they're not going to have preconceptions. They're not going to have possibly not have negative views on it, which is always your fear if they kind of misunderstand it a bit.
Right.
Because I lost a job I worked in a warehouse, car parks warehouse. I've had lots of jobs, and I got sacked because I was making mistakes constantly. And my mum worked in the office, and she came to this meeting where I was getting sacked, and she says, "Oh no, she's got dyslexia." And then he said, "If I'd known you'd had dyslexia, I wouldn't have employed you."
Nice.
And so that told me, don't mention it. Just in case, because it might be people that don't understand it. Like, he obviously didn't understand how it worked and wasn't prepared to sort of put anything in place to help me with that.
Okay. That's insane.
There's so much way to go for raising an awareness, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got a long way to go. And I think we're a drop in the ocean what we're trying to achieve, to have the whole country, if you like, for starters, understanding and right from the get-go having that conversation with somebody. You know.
But the place that I did my placement, which I've full pause on, but they've agreed to have me back, which is not really nice of them. They wanted me to write down what will help if I go through another meltdown, which I found really refreshing. But also there was a part of me that was really embarrassed and didn't really want to do it, but at the same time it felt kind of safer to do it. And I did appreciate that they actually wanted to know what would help me. So that would be another thing that would be really good.
We actually have some really good toolkits for that, don't we? So, knowing the real me, and knowing yourself, what you need, knowing you're normal, that's right. And then having the other person know what your normal is. So in the moments when you're so overwhelmed that you can't have a conversation with somebody, you've both agreed on what your normal is and what you need in that moment, which can be really, really helpful.
Yeah. I tried to get a card with it on, but there's part of me that just felt slightly too embarrassed about it. But eventually I'll get more comfortable in
Absolutely.
it. Because I find that if I do have a meltdown, if I can't prevent it from happening, because sometimes I don't know it's going to come, often I'm not able to speak or communicate properly. So just having something to just give to someone is probably quite helpful.
We've got a conference coming up next March. We may need to touch base with you and just say, look, this is the date it's on. You're very welcome to come along. And, there's going to be a lot of
events going on.
Going on, and people who are there to support. So there may well be somebody who produces these cards, that can the giveaways and things like that. So there's going to be lots of opportunity to explore stuff, which would be really helpful for you when you're working with clients, neurodiverse clients that you could possibly have chats with and stuff. But we'll definitely keep you informed as when that'll be. It's March anyway, we know that much so far.
So still we have time. to wrap up, I think that was really lovely discussion. I think we touched a lot of different areas, and
Yeah,
I had no clue about that, some of the bits, and I think your lived experience and your insights were really important to hear.
absolutely.
We understand autism is very individual experience, but still it's very important. Do you have any message that you would like to say?
Yeah. So autism shouldn't be treated as an addition to the norm. It should just be part of the norm.
Perfectly said.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Chloe, for coming
Yeah.
today. I think it was really good, and hearing your journey from childhood to counselling, and your passion, your ambition to become a counsellor as well. I think that was really good to hear.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you've not just had one of those days, there's been just so much that you've overcome and achieved and continue to do so. And I think it's quite nice that you've got this pause at the moment. I think it's a
Yeah.
really great opportunity for you to have a look and just slow things down and just see where you're going, because you know where the goal is. But just be kind to yourself on the way of getting there.
Will do.
All right, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.